ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, today we have to start this 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The name of the 8th chapter, of course there are so many names in so many editions. One edition, the book which I carry, this is by this Chaukamba Prakashan, Chaukamba Samskrita Pratishthan. It is Ashtatikopeta, it is called. So this book, this is also one of the standard texts. So this text says Taraka Brahma Yoga. Then another text says Akshara Brahma Yoga. Then another text, that is this Ramakrishna Math book, which is there, which is having that English translation. That book says Dharana Yoga. Another text says Mahapurusha Yoga. So somewhat like this, there are so many names for the same Adhyaya. That is what we see in the case of every Adhyaya. This is what I pointed out also. That is because sage Vyasa, when he wrote, he did not probably envisage that these 18 chapters would be singled out by Shankaracharya or by somebody prior to Shankaracharya. In fact, prior to Shankaracharya also, there was a tradition of commenting on this. There was a tradition of picking this out as an exclusive message from the Lord, say giving the nature of Brahman, explaining the nature of Brahman. So that is why certain passages from the ancient texts, they have been singled out and they have been called Gitas. So prior to Shankaracharya also, this thing was existing in the name of Gita. And probably they also had given some names. Sage Vyasa, of course, did not envisage, so he only said Prathamadhyayaha, Dvitiyodhyayaha, Trutiyodhyayaha, etc., etc. But then subsequent people seem to have given some names. Depending on, the theme, of course, is same. Whether you call it Akshara Brahma or Taraka Brahma or Dharana Yoga, the theme almost is same. But then only words are different. Akshara means that which is immutable, that which does not decay. Aksharam, not charati iti aksharam, that is immutable, undecaying, that is Brahma. Then Taraka Brahma. Taraka means that which enables you to cross over. Taraka. Taranam is swimming. Taranam is swimming. Tarakam is something which enables you to swim, cross over. So that is what is Taraka. Then another book says Mahapurusha. The same Mahapurusha who is the person who will enable you to swim over or swim across. Then Dharana Yoga. Dharana, we know, Dharana is that contemplation. Because in this Adhyaya, one main strategy that is explained is that Dharana. So that Dharana you will find in several slokas in this particular Adhyaya. So depending on what a particular editor or a particular commentator, not exactly editor is a modern term, let us say commentator, what a particular commentator saw as the special point in this, so they have given some names. But here what we see is, like we saw in the last chapter, that is the last 2 shlokas of the last chapter, they talked about several things, 7 points. That is Kim Tad Brahma, Adhyatmam, Adhibhutam, Adhidaivam, then again Adhiyajnam, and then again Prayanakale, what sort of Chintanam will be there. That is Antya Bhavana, that is at the time of death, what is the type of mental makeup one has. So these 7 points were discussed. So here, of course, this particular chapter starts with that, because Arjuna wants to know what is the meaning of Brahma, what is the meaning of Adhyatma, etc., etc. So what is it we saw in those last 2 shlokas of earlier chapter? We saw that this particular, the whole of from chapter 6 to chapter 12, which are basically earmarked to explain the nature of this Tat Padartha, that is the nature of Brahman. So here, there are 2 levels of Brahman we discuss in Vedanta. That is, one is that Saguna level and the other is Nirguna level. This Saguna is also called Sopadhika. Saguna means Brahma with attributes. attributes or some qualifications, some functions, duties, etc., etc. Nirguna is something, that sort of pure Brahman or pure consciousness which has nothing to do with all these attributes. Sopadhika and Nirupadhika are similarly defined. Sopadhika means Sa plus Upadhika, that which is having an Upadhi, that which is manifesting as an Upadhi, or that which is manifesting in an Upadhi. All our bodies, they are all Upadhis. Whatever thing we see is an Upadhi. This Bhumi is an Upadhi, all this, the whole universe is an Upadhi. So all the things which are visible, the entire Drishyam is an Upadhi. So this Brahma which is associated with all these things, otherwise called, we also have, I also explained sometimes, the expression Mayavacchinnam Chaitanyam Ishvaraha. This so-called empirical God is nothing but that Mayavacchinnam Chaitanyam. That is in the plane of Maya, within the framework of Maya, that Chaitanya which is associated is called Ishvara, who is the creator, who is the whom we call this empirical God or God at a transactional level. So that is what we have seen. Nirupadhika Brahma is one who is not having any sort of that sort of upadhi, who has no association with any type of upadhi. So these two levels we have seen. So in this say chapter, the idea is to explain more about this Saguna Upasana. Of course, in the next chapter, this is 9th chapter, we are going to see the emphasis is more on that Nirguna. So here, this Saguna aspect is being discussed here. So that is why in the 7 points which are mentioned in this last chapter, out of these 7, one, that is the Supreme Brahman, that one only belongs to one category. All other things, they belong to the second category. That is, this one Brahma belongs to that Nirupadhika category or Nirguna category. Other things like Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva, Adhiyajna and all these things, they come under Sopadhika category or Saguna category. So why are they called Saguna or Sopadhika? That is, these are the things which are manifestations of the same Brahman. And then an ordinary man who is not able to say understand the say complexities of Vedanta or intricacies of Vedanta, and one who has not yet reached that level of maturity where he can realize that he is that Brahman, he still wants to see God as a sort on a plane of duality. He still wants to see some God form. He still, or even if without form, he wants to assume one God who has got some functions, who is a creator, who is somebody before whom we can go and pray, and then he is the man who bestows some boons on us, and what all we want he gives to us. So this is a very, very comfortable situation where you can keep on committing some sins, and then that gentleman will keep on excusing you for some donation which you give into that hundi. So this is a sort of comfortable arrangement which a man wants to have. Somebody who sees the absurdity of it and then says, no, you go to the Nirguna level, God is not a trader. He is not trading your sins and all that. He is not a trader. What you call God or what you call the supreme thing is above all this. What all you visualize at this level called God and then various forms of God and all these things in any religion, whatever it is. So these are the things that all are at the Saguna level only. And then you go beyond that, level and then see what is the truth. So that is that Nirguna level, that is Kim Tad Brahma. That Brahma is to that category. All other things are for Upasana purpose. That is to facilitate a person to acquire some concentration, to acquire some Chitta Shuddhi. Why do we do Upasana? Upasana is for two things. One is we are on the plane of in the plane of duality, and then we want something from the God. So we discover or devise some yajna or something like that, and then you say, I am propitiating this particular type of God, and this particular type of God is giving me this result. So you will get that result. Even by virtue of your own effort, you will get that result. Then you will say, this God has given me this result. So that is one angle. That is for the sake of kamya, that is a kamya karma. Then you also do that karma for the sake of chitta shuddhi. That is a slightly higher level. You do that same karma as a sort of nishkama karma. So that without any sort of phalabhisandhi, without any inclination for the fruit of that action. So you will continue, you will do that action. So these are the two reasons why you do karma. So here in this particular chapter, we are seeing There is one Gneya Brahma on one side and the Upasya Brahma on the other. Gneya Brahma means the same Saguna Brahma, Nirguna Brahma is called Gneya. Gneya means that which has to be understood at the level of my intellectual level and also to be experienced. Gneyam means that which has to be known, that which has to be understood, that which has to be understood by way of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and all that. And Upasya Brahma is, you just go to a Purohit, you go to some Rutvik and then you will ask him to do some puja. So he will do some Navagraha puja, he will do some other Ananta Vratam, he will do some other Vratam. All these Vratam, these are all Upasya Brahma. Upasya means that which is worshipped. One is that which has to be known, realized. Known means not only at the intellectual level, that has to be realized. The other which has to be worshipped. So, Brahma which has to be known and realized, and the Brahma which has to be worshipped. So, these two things are discussed here in this chapter. In fact, in all our Vedanta texts, there is a lot of discussion about these two things. Because in olden days, of course, Vedanta, we are students of Vedanta and we take it for granted that Nirguna level is the highest thing. But then an ordinary man, he doesn't know. An ordinary man who does not read Vedanta, who will read only Puranas, who will read only some, various types of Puranas and all these mythological stories, his mind is so fixed, or rather fixated in that idea of, duality. So all these people, they will only think that Saguna Brahma is the reality. Saguna Brahma means a God with some functions. He may have a form, he may not have a form. He may be a formless God or a God with form. But then he is having some functions. And so in all our textbooks, there is a big discussion. In fact, in Brahma Sutras, there is a whole chapter, a fairly big chapter called Ubhayalinga Adhikaranam. Ubhayalinga Adhikaranam. Ubhayalinga means both the signs. Lingam means the sign or an indication. Both the signs are there in these Shrutis. Shrutis means Upanishads. In these Upanishads, there are several lines which talk about Saguna Brahma. There are so many lines which talk about Nirguna Brahma. Then how do you sort it out? How do you reconcile? So it is for the Vedanti, it is for people like commentators like Shankaracharya, etc. To reconcile all that. So these Brahma Sutras, of course, they are composed by Badarayana. Badarayana, he gave, I told you, a whole set of 555 sutras, for which, on which several people have commented. So this Brahma Sutra commentary of Shankaracharya, if we see, this Ubhayalinga Adhikaranam is a fairly big section where this particular subject is discussed. And then after a long discussion, one last sutra says that sutra says, Atayevacha upama suryakadivat. So that there is one example which we normally see. There are so many receptacles, water, bodies on the earth, let us say. There are so many hundreds and hundreds of water bodies we see. But then the same sun or the same moon is reflected in all these water bodies. So all these water bodies may be different, but the sun's reflection or moon's reflection is one and the same in all these things. So that is a comparison given. So there is only one absolute Brahman, and that one absolute Brahma or consciousness is reflected in so many antahkaranas. All our antahkaranas, they are like these pots of water, these bowls of water, let us say. Our antahkarana is something like a bowl of water, which is a sort of upadhi for receiving that pratibimba of the particular source of light. So that source of light is Supreme Consciousness or Brahman. And we are receiving a little bit of that consciousness, and then we are able to interact with the other objects. So that is the example given in that Brahma Sutra Bhashya. So here in this particular chapter, as I said, both the levels are discussed. One is at the ordinary level, that's Sopadhika Brahma, and at a higher level, it is called Nirupadhika Brahma. So this, if we see the structure of this particular chapter, this again is a fairly small chapter. There are only 28 verses in this, and the first few shlokas means almost up to the 13th shloka, starting from first shloka almost up to the 13th shloka, questions of Arjuna and replies by Lord Krishna. Questions by Arjuna regarding what terminology was used in the last two verses of the earlier chapter. Then Krishna's replies, he gives a fairly elaborate reply to all these things. Then later, the next part is from 14th verse to say about 22nd verse. These two levels of worship, this Nirguna level and Saguna level of worship, they have been explained. So Nirguna and Saguna, we have a fairly, some rough idea by now. So these two things, they are explained in this. Not only these two levels, but then what is the result? This Nirguna level, what is the result? Saguna level, what is the result? And this Saguna level, what are the types of lokas? Loka means a state of experience. Loka, again and again we have to remember the Shankaracharya's line, Loka is not a three-dimensional place. Loka is something, lokyate iti lokaha, pujyante iti janmani. So it is a type of, it is a state of experience or a particular state of life. It is a particular, say, janma which you take. So which is according to your, they say, the earlier karma. In order to, say, have the fruit of that earlier karma, you take a particular birth. So that is called a loka. Or a particular state of mind in which a person is. So that particular state of mind is a loka. So these lokas, what are the types of lokas which you will get? And what are the, say, in what circumstances you will get different lokas? In what circumstances there is a return to earth? In what circumstances there is no return to earth? We have heard the one term called Punaravrutti. Punaravrutti means there is a return to this earth. You go to Indraloka, you enjoy for some time, there is a Punaravrutti. Or if suppose this Hiranyagarbha Prapti, that Satyaloka Prapti, that is supposed to be an attainment from where there is no Punaravrutti. So there a person will be there, and along with that Hiranyagarbha Brahma, one attains moksha at the end of that particular creation. Creations are in cycles, you know. So one at the end of that particular cycle of creation, this particular person who has attained that particular state of existence, he will attain moksha along with that Hiranyagarbha. So that all those things will be explained. All those things will be explained. What is the result of say this Saguna Upasana? What are the levels of this Saguna Upasana? Even in this Saguna Upasana, there are two levels. There is one thing called a bright path, and there is what is called a dark path. So what is this bright path and what is this dark path? We are going to see. Then subsequently the 23rd shloka to 26th shloka, they give this classification. This Saguna level, that Shukla Gati and Krishna Gati, that is the bright path and the dark path. Then the last two verses, that is 27 and 28, Lord Krishna, he encourages, he exhorts Arjuna to become a yoga yukta. Ultimately, right now you may be doing war, but at the end of it, at some point of time, you have to be a yoga yukta, you have to attain moksha. That is what he tells Arjuna. So you have to graduate to that level of maturity, to that level of realization. So that is what he says in the last two lines. So this is what is the general structure. By and large, it is about the Saguna Brahma Upasana and Nirguna Brahma Upasana. More emphasis on Saguna Brahma. We can't even say that because by the very virtue of the title shows Akshara Brahma Yoga, Taraka Brahma Yoga. So Saguna Brahma is also very, discussed in great detail, but the chapter's name is that Akshara Brahma Yoga, the not immutable, imperishable Akshara. Then Taraka, that which enables you to cross over. Then Mahapurusha Yoga, Dharana Yoga, all these things. They are substantiated in this particular chapter. So I think we can start this chapter. First thing, Arjuna Uvacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottama Adhibhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adhidaivam Kim Uchyate. We'll read the second sloka also. Adhiyajñah katham kotra Dehesmin madhusudana Prayanakale cha katham Jneyosi niyatatmabhihi. So these two shlokas are by Arjuna. These two shlokas, these are the questions from Arjuna's side. These both the shlokas constitute only one long series of questions. So the first question is, Kim tat Brahma, because he earlier used that word. What is that Brahma? What is the type of Brahma you are referring to? Are you referring to a sort of Sopadhika Brahma, or are you referring to a Nirupadhika Brahma? Then Kim Adhyatmam. Adhyatma, we know. Adhyatma is that which is relating to the body, self. Adhyatma. Atmani iti Adhyatmam. That is at the level of Atma, at the level of self. What is the reality? At the level of self, is it only say an assemblage of all these body-mind complex, that is the assemblage of body and senses and sense organs and all these things, or is there anything called some Pratyak Chaitanya, or is there anything which is there, something which is more, beyond this body-mind complex? So that is the question. Kim Adhyatmam. Kim Karma Purushottama. Hey Purushottama. Purushottama, of course, is an address. Purushottama is Uttama. Uttama means great among men. So that is Purushottama. Kim Karma. Karma, the normal meaning of karma is work or duty. But of course, in the context of Vedanta, karma means yajna. In the context of Vedanta, any righteous action, that is karma. We have seen that in the 4th chapter and 3rd chapter, there was a long discussion about this yajna. Yajna was interpreted in a very, very broad context to include various righteous actions, various benevolent actions, various good deeds which are done by people in the society. So Kim Karma, what type of karma? Are you just referring to that yajna, or is there anything else, or is there anything beyond that? That is one. Then Adhibhutam cha Kim Proktam. Adhibhutam, in relation to the bhutas, in relation to the elements, or in relation to the insentient universe which we see around us, all in relation to all this, or at this plane, in the plane of this bhutas, what is it that you are? What is your manifestation? Kim Proktam. Proktam means what is it that has been told? What is it that is told means told by elders, let us say told. Kim Proktam means what is it that is told in Vedanta, or which is told in the Shrutis. So like that you can say. Kim Proktam Adhidaivam Kimuchyate. What is it that is referred to by the word Adhidaivam? Adhidaivam means at the plane of this divine, at this divine plane. What is it that that is the truth? Then Adhiyajnaha. Then Adhiyajnaha Katham Kaha atra dehe asmin madhusudana. The first shloka is clear. Kim tat Brahma, Kim Adhyatmam. That there is nothing difficult. The second shloka is Adhiyajnaha. That which is relating to that yajna, or that which is connected with that yajna. What is it? Katham means how. Kaha atra dehe asmin madhusudana. In the body, what is it that is relating to that yajna or righteous conduct? What is it that is enabling a person or impelling a person to indulge in either pravrutti or nivrutti? There are two types of activity we see. That one is pravrutti and the other is nivrutti. Nivrutti is again withdrawal from activity. That also is an activity till a particular level. So in this body, what is it that is called Adhiyajna? Then Prayana Kalecha Katham Gneyaha Asi Niyatatmabhihi. Niyatatmabhihi. Niyatatma means one who is having a control on one's own self. Niyata Atma. Niyata means which is brought under control. How? By yoga. Niyata is only by yoga. Yoga means here we are referring to Dhyana Yoga, by referring to something called Nididhyasana and all that. Niyatatma is Yuktatma, Samahitatma. All these words we have to say they are almost synonymous. Yuktatma, Samahitatma, Niyatatma, all these words are synonymous. So which means the person who is stationed in that level of Dhyana Yoga, he has attained that level of maturity in Dhyana Yoga. By those people, Niyatatma is a person. Niyatatmabhihi means Trutiya Bahuvachanam. That is by the people who are such Yuktatmas, who are such Niyatatmas, who are having such minds, having concentration. Niyatatma, concentration or dhyana, let us say. Minds who have achieved a perfection in dhyana. So that is it. Niyatatmabhihi prayana kale katham gneyaha asi. Prayana kale means at the time of departure, how are you going to be known? Katham gneyaha. Katham gneyaha means how are you going to be known? Gneyosi niyatatmabhihi. So these are the questions. Then let us see the answer. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavodhyatma Muchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaro Visargah Karma Sangnitaha. Okay, so he says he is giving the meaning of 2 or 3 words in this. Aksharam he is explaining, Swabhava he is explaining, Karma he is explaining. 3 words are explained in this particular shloka. Aksharam Brahma Paramam. So that is one particular unit. Aksharam Brahma Paramam. So Paramam Aksharam is that Brahma. Aksharam. What is, the question is, what is that Brahma? So Brahma is that which is Paramam, and that which is Aksharam. That which is Paramam, that which is Aksharam is Brahma. Paramam means that which is supreme. Aksharam means that which is immutable, that which does not perish, that which does not undergo any change, or it doesn't perish. So that is that sort of thing. That sort of Nirupadhika Brahma, Nirupadhika thing or Nirupadhika entity is called Brahma. So that is the meaning here. Paramam Aksharam is Brahma. Then Swabhavaha Adhyatma Uchyate. Adhyatma is in the context of the body, at the level of the body, at this body, in the plane of body. Then what is that? Swabhavaha. Normally Swabhavaha means, what does it mean? Normally in the normal usage, Swabhavaha means Swasya Bhavaha. That is one's nature. So we use it as a sort of Shashti Vibhakti. So, but here the commentators say that here Shashti Vibhakti is not the thing to be taken. Swabhavaha should be taken to mean Swarupa. That is its own very nature. We should say very nature. We should not say its nature, the very nature. The very nature is, what is that very nature? That Pratyak Chaitanya. The very nature of consciousness. That is the Swabhava. That is the Swarupa. The essence. Swarupa should be taken to mean essence. It is not Shashti Vibhakti. It should be taken as a Karmadhara. It should be taken as some Karmadhara Samasa. That is what he says. The commentator Madhusudana Saraswati says that it should be taken to mean the very essence, the very nature. Swabhavaha Adhyatma Muchyate. That is, Adhyatma is the same Brahma. Swarupa itself is Adhyatma. Your nature is nothing but the nature of Brahman. So that is what it means. Then Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha Visargaha Karma Sanganitaha. Visargaha. Visarga means, what is the meaning of Visarjan? If you have attended any drill class, they will say Visarjan. What is that Visarjan? They disperse. Visarjana. Ganesha Nimajjan, what do you say? Visarjana. That where you are doing something. Then Visarga actually means an offering into the fire at the time of Yajna. Visarga actually means Srushti is referred to by Sarga. Visarga. V is only an Upasarga, isn't it? Visarga is an offering. Visarga means an offering in that fire at the time of sacrifice. So Visarga, why do we do that Visarga? We give so many oblations into the fire. The idea is the Agni is supposed to be the transporter of all these oblations to various deities, and then Agni is supposed to distribute to them, and then they are the people who are supposed to give it back to us. In fact, in the earlier shloka we read also, what is that? Say it is a cycle. It is a cycle where in the 4th chapter, suddenly I am not recollecting that shloka. What is that shloka? Where he says it is all a cycle whereby you offer Devan Bhavayatanena Te Deva Bhavayantuvaha Parasparam Bhavayantaha. So all these deities whom you see, you have to nourish them. And then Te Deva Bhavayantunaha. So those deities, they will in turn nourish us. So this is a cycle which goes on. So you are performing yajna means you are doing something in accordance with the cosmic principle. So devas, you are propitiating gods means not that at a higher level. At an ordinary level of an ordinary, say, Purohit, he does not know the meaning. But somebody who has really read the Vedartha, somebody who has really read the Veda, Vidyaranya Bhashyam for that Veda, he will know what he is doing. Somebody who reads the Vidyaranya Bhashyam, he knows that the total meaning of that yajna. So the total meaning of yajna is an activity which is in consonance with the forces of nature. So that is what we call it by Devan Bhavayata. So yajna, we do all this offering only to see that we are doing something in consonance with the forces of the universe. Then what is it that is going to, what is the result? Bhuta bhavodbhava karaha. Bhuta bhava udbhava karaha. Bhuta bhava means the coming into being of coming into existence of various beings. Coming into existence of various beings, that is called Bhuta Bhavaha. Bhuta, that I am going to, Shankaracharya is going to explain, I will read out that line again. Bhuta Bhava Udbhavaha. Udbhava means, again, you are the cause, you are the cause. You means not you, this Bhuta Bhava Udbhava Karaha, Visargaha. That Visarga is the cause. Visarga is the cause for various beings to come into existence. How is that yajna a cause for our existence? What the say mantra, what the commentator says is, when you perform yajna, all these things they reach to sun god, and then from that sun god they are again coming to this megha or these clouds, and then these clouds are raining, and then that rain is giving us so much of crops and all that, and we eat those crops, and then there is a reproduction, process of reproduction and all that. So that is how all the animals are coming into being. Oshadhibhyo annam annat purushaha, isn't it? So all these oshadhis are coming, and then these oshadhis are becoming an annam for all these beings, and then that annam is becoming, getting transformed into the human beings. So that is what it means. So that way, Bhuta Bhavodbhava Karaha Visargaha Karma Sangnitaha. Sangnitaha means it is called, it is designated as. Sangnitaha, designated. So that is the translation. Karma Sangnitaha means it is designated as karma. Sangnitaha means technically, the very correct word is designated. Designated as karma. What is that karma? Karma means that offering. That Visarga is called karma. So these three things are explained here. I think we can read the Bhashyam and then later we go to the next thing. So, Te Brahma Tad Viduh Krutznam Ityadina Bhagavata Arjunasya Prashnabhijan Yupadishtani Yataha Tat Prashnartham Arjuna Uvacha. This is a small avatarika. Te Brahma Tad Viduh Krutznam is that last shloka of the last paragraph, last adhyaya. Ityadina Bhagavata Arjunasya Prashnabhijan Yupadishtani. Lord Krishna used certain technical terms. They are the Prashna Bija. Prashna Bija means that is the cause for further questioning. Prashna Bija, the seeds for further questioning, means that is the cause. Because I use some technical words, then you will ask me what is the meaning. So it is as simple as that. So Lord Krishna used certain technical terms by using certain words. He gave that Prashna Bijam, and in order to know, then Arjuna is asking all this. Then Yesham Prashnanam Yathakramam Nirnayaya Bhagavan Uvacha. So, in order to explain these things in a serial order, Yesham Prashnanam, that is of these questions, Yathakramam Nirnayaya. Yathakramam means in the same order, Nirnayaya, in order to explain, in order to clarify, Bhagavan Uvacha, Lord Krishna is saying this, Aksharam iti. Then Aksharam Nat Sharatiti Para Atma Etasyava Aksharasya Prashasane Gargi Iti Shrutehe. Okay. So, Aksharam Nat Sharatiti Para Brahma. So, the Aksharam, there is he is clarifying, Aksharam means Para Brahma, that is Supreme Brahma. Why do you call it Supreme Brahma? Because that Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is saying, Etasyava aksharasya prashasane gargi surya chandramasau, something like that. Etasyava aksharam etadvayaksharam gargi. Where is that line? Shankaracharya has not completely quoted, but somebody else has quoted here. Anyway, it's not important, not very much needed here. The meaning, overall meaning is under the control or under the direction, etasya prashasane he gargi. So the discussion is between Yajnavalkya and Gargi. Yajnavalkya is a very famous Upanishadic rishi. There are several sages mentioned in Upanishads. So Yajnavalkya is one very important character in say Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and also in some other places he appears. So this Yajnavalkya has two wives. One is, Gargi is not a wife. He has two wives, that's a different thing. Maitreyi and Katyayani, that's a different thing. But Gargi is another scholar. She is a lady scholar who is in the court of King Janaka. So there is an argument when he goes to the court of King Janaka. Then King Janaka is, he himself is a very realized soul, very great, say Vedantin. He occasionally teases all these people. He occasionally teases all these scholars who come to him, and then he will give some problems in philosophy. So all these people will be floundering. So at that time Yajnavalkya goes and then he sorts out, he gives some clarification to that. So that is one such occasion where Yajnavalkya goes and then he dismisses all those chaps in their arguments. And then he takes away all the cows which were kept as the prize money. In those days there was no prize money, we should say prize cows. So those prize cows, they are carried away by Yajnavalkya. So in that context, there is a discussion. Etasyava aksharasya prashasane gargi, he gargi, o gargi. Under the control of this akshara, under the say prashasana. Prashasana means administration. Literally prashasana means administration, or under the control. And what sort of control, etc. Again, it's a matter of detail. Of course, we need not go into this. Vedanta goes into that. Whether Supreme Brahma is really controlling and what is that kartrutva, what is the nature of kartrutva, we need not go into that. It is enough if we know that under the say administration or control of that particular Supreme Brahma, the whole say universe is operating. So that is it. So that is what Supreme Brahma. Then Shankaracharya is going to pose another clarify another doubt. Usually aksharam we also refer to Omkara, isn't it? Om ityetad aksharam Brahma. There is one famous line. What is that? Om ityekaksharam Brahma. That is from say Mandukya Upanishad. Om ityekaksharam Brahma. Om, that word also represents aksharam Brahma. Then why can't this aksharam Brahma refer to Om? So some such doubt may arise in our mind. So in order to exclude that doubt, he is going to say that Omkara is not mentioned here. Omkara no doubt is a very sacred term. Omkara no doubt is referring to say aksharam Brahma. But here it is not only aksharam Brahma which is mentioned. He is also saying Paramam Brahma. Aksharam Brahma Paramam. So he is adding a Visheshanam. He is adding say Visheshanam is an adjective. Visheshanam, in grammar, Visheshanam is adjective. So he is qualifying it by saying that this is Supreme Brahman. So because of that, we are not supposed to take that Rudhyartha. There is what is called a Rudhyartha. Rudhyartha means that which is commonly accepted. The commonly accepted meaning for Aksharam is, number one, Aksharam also means a letter, and Aksharam commonly also refers to Omkara, Om ityeka aksharam Brahma. So though there is a Rudhyartha, that does not apply here because of the use of one adjective called Paramam or Supreme. That is what is in the next line. Omkarasya cha Om ityekaksharam brahmeti parena visheshanat tad agrahanam. So there is a conventional meaning. Conventional meaning is normally, in the normal course, a conventional meaning overrides the etymological meaning. Suppose I say Pankaja. Pankaja does not mean anything born out of mud. Pankaja only refers to a lotus. So etymological meaning of Pankaja is say something which is born in mud. It can be an insect or anything. The Rudhyartha, or a conventional meaning is it refers to a lotus. So in the normal course, the Rudhyartha overrides the etymological meaning. But here, the commentator says it doesn't apply. It should not take like that because of the use of, specific use of this adjective called paramam. Omkarasya cha omityekaksharam brahma iti. That usage is there, but still, parena visheshanat. Parena visheshanat means because of the use of this word param. Because of the use of visheshanat means because of use of this visheshana. What is that visheshana? Para. Iti visheshanat agrahanam. So it is not accepted here, it is not taken, or it is not taken into consideration. Agrahanam, we have not accepted it. Then paramam iti cha niratishaye brahmani akshare upapannataram visheshanam. So this visheshanam or adjective called paramam, this adjective called supreme, is more appropriate in niratishaye brahmani. In Niratishaya Brahma. Niratishaya and Satishaya we know. Satishaya means that which can be compared with something else. Satishaya. Atishaya, on that there is some gradation. Niratishaya means that which is supreme and then beyond which there is nothing else. That is something beyond parallel, unparalleled. Niratishaya is something which is unparalleled. So this is Satishaya is something which is having a parallel. So for example, if you take this Trimurti, that is Trinity, suppose you take Trinity, this Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, etc., etc. There is a Satishaya. Somebody likes Brahma, somebody likes Vishnu, somebody likes Shiva, somebody likes Indra. These are all Satishaya levels. But that supreme consciousness is something which is Niratishaya. So that Niratishaya is something which is unparalleled, where there is no comparison. And in that supreme Brahman only, this Maya is manifesting. And all the other God forms which we visualize are only in that level of Maya. So that is why all these things are Satishaya. Then Niratishaya Brahma is something different. So this particular adjective called Paramam is more appropriate. Upapannataram. Upapannataram means it is more appropriate. That word Upapannataram is more appropriate in the context of Niratishaya Brahma. That is unsurpassed Brahma. This is unparalleled Brahma. Then Tasyaiva Parasya Brahmanaha Pratideham Pratyagatma Bhavaha Swabhavaha. So Tasyaiva Parasya Brahmanaha. So Shankaracharya is not leaving any doubt. Tasyaiva Parasya Brahmana, of the same Parasya Brahma, of the same Parabrahma, Swabhava, his own essence, his own nature, is here this Adhyatma, Pratyagatma Bhavaha Swabhavaha. Pratyagatma Bhavaha is Swabhava, that is the innermost self. Pratyagatma is that inner self. That inner self which is the own essence of that supreme self is that Swabhava. Then that Swabhava is called Adhyatma. Swabhavo Adhyatma Muchyate.
Swabhavo Adhyatma Muchyate.
Atmanam Deham Adhikrutya.
Atmanam Deham Adhikrutya.
Pratyagatmataya Pravrittam.
Pratyagatmataya Pravrittam.
Paramatma Brahmavasanam Vastu.
Paramatma Brahmavasanam Vastu.
Swabhavaha.
Swabhavaha.
Adhyatma Muchyate.
Adhyatma Muchyate.
Adhyatma Shabdena Abhidiyate.
Adhyatma Shabdena Abhidiyate.
Okay. Swabhavaha. So he, as he said, Tasyaiva Parasya Brahmana Pratideham Pratyagatma Bhavaha. Pratideham means not only human body, in every small insect, starting from let us take say bacteria, because that is the shortest thing we know. So the smallest thing we know. So starting from a bacteria till a mighty, say, Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha, if we take this cosmic being as a whole, right, starting from this, bacteria to Hiranyagarbha, that cosmic being, Pratideham Pratyagatma Bhavaha, that is the very essence, the very nature is one and the same. Pratyagatma Bhavaha Swabhavaha, that essence is called Adhyatmam. Adhyatmam is that which is the inner self. Then Atmanam Deham Adhikrutya Pratyagatmataya Pravrittam. He is explaining that word. Atmanam. Atma does not mean anything. Atma here means Deham. Deham adhikrutya, with reference to the body or in relation to the body, adhikrutya, pratyagatmataya pravrittam. It is there existing, pravrittam is, it is existing, pratyagatmataya, as the inner self. It is existing as the inner self. That is paramartha brahmavasanam. That what is it that is existing? That paramartha brahma only is existing here. Paramartha brahmavasanam, vastu, that particular thing is svabhavaha. That is the Swarupa, that is the essence of that Supreme Brahman, is the thing which is existing here. Swabhavaha Adhyatma Uchyate, Adhyatma Shabdena Abhidhiyate. Abhidhiyate means it is called. It is called by the name Adhyatma. Then Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha,
Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha,
Bhutanam Bhavaha,
Bhutanam Bhavaha,
Bhuta Bhavaha,
Bhuta Bhavaha,
Tasya Udbhavaha,
Tasya Udbhavaha,
Bhuta Bhavaha, Bhuta Bhavodbhavaha,
Bhuta Bhavodbhavaha,
Tam Karoti iti Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha,
Tam Karoti iti Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha,
Bhuta Vastutpattikaraha ityarthaha.
Bhuta Vastutpattikaraha ityarthaha.
This is a simply explanation explaining that word Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha. What is this Bhuta Bhava Udbhavakaraha? There are four small words in that. Bhuta Bhava Udbhavakaraha. Bhuta Bhava. Bhuta Bhava means, Bhava actually means coming into existence. Bhava, to be. Bhudhatu. Bhuta Bhava. That is the Bhutas coming into being or coming into existence. Bhuta Bhavaha, Bhutanam Bhavaha, Bhuta Bhavaha. Bhutanam Bhavaha means the coming into existence of various Bhutas or various beings is called Bhuta Bhava. Then Bhuta Bhava, Tasya Udbhavaha. Tasya Udbhavaha means that is caused by, that which is caused by, that is called Bhuta Bhavodbhavaha. Bhuta Bhavodbhavaha tam karoti iti Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha. That which is impelling and that which is the cause for that Bhuta Bhava is that Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha. And what is that Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha? Visargaha. He is telling in the next line. Visargaha, Visarjanam, Devatodeshena, Charu Purodashadehi Dravyasya Parityagaha, Sa Yesha, Visarga Lakshanaha Yajnaha, Karma Sangnitaha, Karma Shabditaha Ityetat. Okay, Visarga actually means Visarjanam. Visarjanam is giving up. What is it you are giving up? Devatodeshena Charu Purodashadehe Parityagaha, Dravyasya Parityagaha. So actually Yaga, there is a definition of that Yaga which is given by Madhusudana Saraswati. We use the term Yajna and Yaga. What is the difference between Yajna and Yaga? There is a very slight difference. Yaga is something where you offer something. Yajna, it need not be an offering into fire. It is some other type of righteous deed. Deva Yajnaha, Pitru Yajnaha, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajnasya, Yatayaha Samshita Vrataha. We saw in 4th chapter. That is, if I am sitting in my room and then doing some dhyana, it is dhyana yajna. If I am studying Vedanta, it is Swadhyaya yajna. If I am doing some help to somebody, that is some Bhuta yajna. So these are all yajnas which are there, where not necessarily involving some offering in the name of gods. So when you are offering something in the name of gods, that is called yaga. Devatodeshena, this is a sort of technical meaning from this Mimamsakas. We know this Purva Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa, that is a study which exclusively deals with all this, not only this yajna, yaga, etc. It deals with various types of karma. In those days, actually the karma was the most important thing. Karma means all these types of yajna. And then interpretation of Vedic texts. Interpretation of Vedic texts was a very, very important subject matter of the Mimamsa. Mimamsa goes into a very minute examination of every word which is there in the Veda. And then even a very slight deviation they don't want to accept. So that is it. So anyway, the Mimamsa explanation is Devatodeshena Dravyatyagaha Yagaha. So that is it. Devatodeshana, when in the name of some gods or with the idea of propitiating gods, you are offering something. So that is it. Visargaha Visarjanam Devatodeshena Charu Purodashadehe Dravyasya. What is the dravya which you are offering there? You must have seen lot many yajnas. We offer various types of food items mostly. Food items we put some coconuts and then various types of sometimes some honey and then sometimes various dry fruits and all these things we put, isn't it? So that is it. Charu is actually it is a sort of rice cooked in sugarcane juice. Rice cooked in sugarcane juice is called charu. Because I asked somebody in some yagnika somewhere in Vijayawada, what is this charu? Charu is something which is a rice which cooked in sugarcane juice. You can taste it, you can cook it and see. It comes in a beautiful way. Charu. Purodasha. Purodasha is made of flour. It can be a wheat flour or it can be say rice flour. Rice flour you take. Usually it is a wheat flour. So that is a purodasha. Something like a bread. Puroda, I particularly feel there is a sort of etymological similarity between puroda and bread. Because if you go to other, say America, you will get a thing called burrata. Burrata is again some sort of Italian bread. Bread, puroda, burrata, purodasha, all seem to be etymologically related. So this purodasha, obviously some type of bread or some what our people say is, it is some ball of say this flour. It is some ball of wheat flour, means some obviously something like some primitive form of bread, let us say. So this purodasha, I have not seen a purodasha, but the meaning of purodasha is that. Purodasha is some say ball of say wheat flour. Purodasha dehe dravyasya parityagaha. स एष विसर्गलक्षणः यज्ञः कर्म संज्ञितः कर्म शब्दितः इत्येतत्. So this is what is called karma. Why then how is it visarga bhuta bhavoddhavakarah? He is explaining. In what way is it connected with this say the origin of coming into being of various say bhutas or various beings? The next line says etasmadhi bijabhutat vrushtyaadikrameణ स्थावर जंगमानि भूतानि उद्भवन्ति. Okay, एतस्माद्धि बीजभूतात्. So from this thing only, these things, whatever offering you are giving, it is becoming the seed. Bijabhutam. Bijabhutam is, it is actually becoming a seed for the coming into being of various say living beings. How? For example, in Madhusudana Saraswati quotes some line. What is that? He quotes some line from where is this? Madhusudana Saraswati quotes some line saying that, yeah, he quotes Agnau prastahutihi samyak Adityam upatishthate Aditya jayate vrushtih vrushtehe annam tatah prajaha. So what we discussed just now earlier, only that line I am quoting from Manusmriti. What he says is, all this offering which you are giving into this thing, yajna, it is going to the sun, and from the sun it is Adityam upatishthate. Adityam upatishthate means it is reaching up to the sun, and from Adityat jayate vrushtih. Sun, that sun is responsible for vrushti. Vrushti means rain. Sun is responsible for the rain, and that rain it is producing so much of annam, and from that annam annat prajaha tatah prajaha. So that is what it is smrutehe. So that is how it is coming in a sort of cycle. That is what he says. Etasmadhi bijabhutat vrushtyaadi kramena, means in the order of that. In the order of Vrushti and then Annam and then Annam and from Annam to Praja, in that order, in that chain, Sthavara Jangamani Bhutani Udbhavanti. Sthavara Bhutani, Jangama Bhutani. Sthavara Bhutam means all these trees. Sthavara is something stationary which doesn't move. Jangama is that which is moving. But all these things are being only, living beings only. Sthavara Bhutam also is a living being, that a tree is a living being. Then Jangama Bhutam, that which is moving, that is also a living being. So if we see our Puranas, in all our Puranas, we treat trees also as equal to human beings only. So that is why we have the say system of worshipping some trees. And then say if you see some Puranic stories, in that Puranic stories you also find somebody sees a tree in which there are full of say fruits and all that. Though that tree is full of fruits, not a single animal is visiting that tree. Why? Somebody asks. No, this fellow was a great scholar in his previous birth, and then at that time he did not teach any students. So he is born in this forest as a tree where nobody is bothered about him, nobody is touching his fruit. So he is like that. So if you are a scholar and if you do not teach, now that you are studying Vedanta, if you do not teach, after a few years you will be born as a tree in a forest. So that is some Puranic story. Anyway, you can take it in any sense. So like that, we treated all these sthavaras, all the trees also, as equal to human beings. So sthavara jangamani bhutani udbhavanti. Okay, this is the third sloka. The fourth sloka, let us read. Adhibhutam ksharo bhavaha
Adhibhutam ksharo bhavaha
purushascha adhidaivatam
Purushascha adhidaivatam
adhiyajnyohamevasmi adhiyajnyohamevatra
Adhiyajnyohavematra
dehe dehabhrutam vara.
Dehe dehabhrutam vara.
So, O dehabhrutam vara. Dehabhrutam vara means, O one who is supreme among those who are having body. Dehabhrut is deham bibharti iti dehabhrut. One who is bearing a body is, one who is having a body is dehabhrut. Dehabhrutam vara means, among human beings, let us say, among human beings, you are a Nara. Actually, Nara and Narayana, we know that Lord Krishna and Arjuna are nothing but Nara Narayana, these two ancient sages who were again reborn in this form of Krishna and Arjuna. So that is the Puranic story also. So anyway, Nara represents all the human beings. So that is why he says, Dehabhrutam Vara. Oh, you are the one who is supreme being, supreme person, or a highest person among the living beings. So that is the meaning of this Dehabhrutam Vara. That is the address. Then coming to this first word, Adhibhutam Ksharo Bhavaha. What is this Adhibhutam? Adhibhutam. In the plane of these bhutas, at the level of all these bhutas. So that which is in this physical plane, let us say, what is that Adhibhutam? Ksharo Bhavaha. Ksharo Bhavaha means that changing entity. All these, whatever is born, decays and dies, isn't it? All these things which are born, decaying and dying, all these things, that is Adhibhutam, including sentient and insentient, all the things, because all this earth, moon, stars and all these things, one day or the other they will decay. That is the point here. Adhibhutam, because it is referring to the elements also. All these elements again, they have a birth, and then it means when you say that they have birth, it also means that they will also have disappearance, they will also have nasha. So anything which has an utpatti has a vinasha also. So that way, Adhibhutam Ksharo Bhavaha, that thing, that say that changing entity is called Adhibhutam. Then Purushascha Adhidaivatam. Adhidaivatam, at the divine level, in the context of the gods, or at the divine plane, let us say, at the divine plane, what is it? Purushaha. Purusha, what Shankaracharya, the meaning given to Purusha is Hiranyagarbha. In fact, we know this Purusha Sukta. Purusha Sukta every day we read. And that Purusha Sukta, what is it we refer to? We refer to that supreme cosmic being only. And that cosmic being, this cosmic intelligence as we call it, that is that Purusha. And that too, in this particular context, what Shankaracharya says is, Purusha is there everywhere. So we are referring to that particular Purusha, Purusha manifesting in the sun. Purusha manifesting in the sun is referred to here as Purusha. Anyway, we will see in the Bhashyam. Purusha, right now let us understand that it refers to Hiranyagarbha Tattvam. That particular principle, Hiranyagarbha principle, let us say. Purushascha Adhidaivatam. Then Adhiyajnaha Ahameva Atra Dehe Dehabhrutam Vara. O Dehabhrutam Vara, O Arjuna, Adhiyajnaha Ahameva Atra Dehe. This Adhiyajna again we discussed in the last class also, that is in the plane of Yajna, or in the context of Yajna. In the context of Yajna, what is that Adhiyajna? I am that. That is Adhiyajna. So that entity which is there in you, which is impelling you to do various righteous actions, that is Adhiyajna. There is something which is impelling in you. There is some Kriya Shakti in every human being, not only human being, in every being. There is some Kriya Shakti in every being which is impelling the being to do some action. So that particular thing, that is called Adhyajna. Adhyajna, the thing which at the level of the body, at the level of this yajna, in the context of yajna. So in the context of some kriya, which is enabling or impelling a person to do a righteous action. You still have, do we have time or over? Over. So if it is over, we will read the thing in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. ఈరోజు ఇది అయిపోతుంది అనుకున్నా ఇది